Hey there, Jane. I need to have a little talk with you about your conduct around the office. So, if you have a minute, I'd like you to respond to these texts, as the things we need to discuss are really quite serious. I'm sorry that we can't discuss them in person, but they are so serious that I had to reach out to you right away. You do realize that you're just a regular employee, right? You're not a supervisor or manager or anything like that. And yet I've heard that you were chastising my daughter earlier today. Do you think that you have that kind of authority around here? I'm sorry, but I would really like to know just why you think that kind of behavior is appropriate around here. Now, I'm just curious what made you think that it was appropriate for someone in your position to go and do something like that, because I don't recall those privileges ever being in your contract, and I don't think I see other employees going around acting the way that you were towards my daughter.
Hello, Mr. Perry. I take it that you're talking to me about the conversation that I had with your daughter Lily earlier today, yes? I mean, I suppose there really couldn't be any other example of me chastising your daughter that you could be talking about. Well, the thing is that she has been showing up to work almost an hour late every day for several weeks now. Now, I don't mean to presume any kind of authority around here that I don't have, but the fact of the matter is that her behavior has been putting us behind schedule for some time now. And while I'm not an official supervisor, I was tasked with looking after her while she learns the ropes of the job, so I was only trying to help her understand the importance of being at work on time. After all, I just wanted to make sure that she knew the effect her actions were having on the company and wanted to make sure she was also aware of the consequences of her actions. I wasn't trying to chastise or bully her, but I thought that she should know it wasn't okay to do that. I really didn't mean to overstep my authority in doing any of this at all, but I wanted to make it clear the consequences of her behavior. In fact, I'm glad you're reaching out to me about this. I was hoping that you could talk to her about this problem as well. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't the first or even second or third time that she has done something like this. This is a much more serious problem that the whole office has been having with her.
What in the world are you talking about? You have got a lot of nerve even trying to talk to me, your boss, in that way. Honestly, just who do you think you are trying to tell me what is best or what is not best for my company? If I wanted to have you input on how to deal with employees, then you would have been hired at the managerial level. Didn't you ever consider that? I really have no idea just where you get off talking to me, much less my daughter, in that way.
I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? I really wasn't trying to step on anyone's toes. It's just that I was told to show her the ropes. It's like I was saying, her behavior was putting the whole team behind schedule, and so I just wanted to make sure she realized that she was actually impacting people around her through her actions.
And now my daughter is absolutely furious! Tell me, do you talk to my daughter in that same condescending tone when you try and show her the ropes? I mean, really, I just have no idea what in the world would make you think that you can talk to any other employee in the office, let alone my daughter, in the way that she was telling me you talked to her. I really just don't understand how a mature adult could ever think that that is acceptable. You should know that I'm her father, and I know very well that she's a capable worker who doesn't need someone of your standing telling her what to do. And if I ever thought that she needed someone to talk to her about her performance around here, then as her father, I would see to that myself, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, but are you telling me that I shouldn't have told her to stop showing up to work so late every day? I'm just a little confused. I know that I might not be your daughter's manager or anything like that, but I don't think it's unreasonable for one coworker to say to another that their behavior is causing problems around the office and that it's important that they try and fix it.
I'm the head of this division. Don't you think I'm already aware of when people are showing up on time and when they're late? You're not seeming to understand that I don't pay you to keep an eye on what other people are doing. I pay you to do your job and shut up, and that's it. If I had a problem with my daughter showing up late, then I would say something about it. Didn't that thought ever even cross your mind? Do you really think that you know better what this office does and doesn't need, and how these projects are or are not gonna get done than I do? If that were the case, then you would be the boss and I would be in your position.
I'm sorry, I'm really confused here. Are you telling me that you're okay with your daughter acting this way around the office? That just doesn't sound right. I am sure that there have been other people who have worked for this company who have had conversations with their coworkers about their behavior and fixing it. This all seems a bit like an overreaction to a simple misunderstanding.
I'm telling you that you have got a lot of nerve thinking that you can go and yell at my daughter about how to do her job. I don't know how many times you're gonna make me repeat myself over this point, but I'm ready to keep going over the same thing over and over again until you finally get it. You're nothing but a little peon in this company. You're a replaceable worker drone who seems to have forgotten their place. So why don't you remember that the next time you think to open your mouth and say something that's outside the parameters of your job, huh?
Mr. Perry, I'm really sorry if I've done something wrong. I didn't mean to overstep my authority, but I don't think there's any need to talk to me like this. I mean, really, I am not trying to tell you how to do your job at all either, but I think that this is a very inappropriate way to handle this conversation, especially given the fact that this all has to do with the way I talk to your daughter. I only told your daughter what I said because I was tasked with showing her how things work around here. She was behaving in such a way that was negatively impacting those around her, and I just wanted to make sure she was aware of the consequences of her actions. Can we please just calm down and try to think about this a little more rationally? I mean, would you be okay with any other employee showing up that late? I just can't seem to wrap my head around why it is that you're acting this way towards me about all of this. You've warned plenty of others not to be late. I was only taking after your example. And again, I don't think in any other scenario that anyone would be acting this drastically towards what I said to your daughter. I really do think that I was well within my rights to do what I did.
I don't care what you thought you were doing. The fact of the matter is that you talked to my daughter like that and now she's upset. And if you think anything is going to take precedent over how my daughter feels, then you've got another think coming. I don't care what you think about how this should have been handled or how I'm handling it now. If I wanted your opinion on any of that, then I'd ask for it. Do you get me? So clearly you don't know how to handle helping other employees if all you do is make them cry. What did you even say to her that made her so upset? You're going on about how reasonable you were acting, but haven't taken responsibility for all of the hurt that you put her through.
Mr. Perry, I really don't know what to say to this except that I feel this anger is really uncalled for. I understand why you're upset, and I certainly didn't mean to upset your daughter over what she did, but I still think that I was within my rights to speak up. I really don't think there's any need for you to get this upset over what I said to Lily. I mean, I recall quite well what I said, and I don't think it was any more or any less than what I would have said to any other employee acting the same way that she was. And I'm sorry, but I still don't understand why you're even this upset with me to begin with. I was asked to oversee Lily as she starts working here. I have seniority over her just by virtue of how long I've been in the office. So I get that I'm not her manager or her supervisor, but it's also not like I don't have any authority or knowledge beyond what she does either. I'm sorry, but this whole thing just feels blown out of proportion to me. I really can't see how I did anything that would be considered inappropriate given my position in the company. I truly apologize for any hurt feelings, but I think that I spoke very professionally and didn't say anything that I wouldn't say to me about my performance.
Well, it sounds to me like someone needs to remind you of how things work around here. Or are you just gonna keep up this back talk until I have no choice but to fire you?
Are you really threatening to fire me just over this? I think that's a little extreme, don't you? I mean, I just really don't think that would fly anywhere, especially given that we have this whole text conversation to serve as a record of what was said between us. But if the problem you're having is that I was the one who spoke to your daughter about being at work on time, then maybe you could talk to her about this problem. Because the fact of the matter is that, as I've already said above several times, her lateness really is starting to affect our output. And if you think your daughter could be put on the right track, then that would be a huge help to me. I think she would be more likely to listen to you anyways. Does that sound agreeable to you? I mean, you don't seem to want me to talk to her, so maybe if you could talk to her instead, that might be better?
Oh, so now you're trying to tell me what to do as well? You really just don't know when to shut your mouth, do you? Honestly, what in the world is it with your generation that you think you can just talk to anyone in any way that you want? I would have thought that you'd know better than to talk to me in this way, but I guess you just show everyone the same level of disrespect. Isn't that right?
Okay, I see that I've misspoken, and I'll make sure that nothing like this happens again. I'll return to work now. I am so sorry for any kind of misunderstanding that I might have caused between your daughter and I, as well as you and I, sir.
How many times am I gonna have to have this same talk with you, huh? Well, the last time was just that. As of today, you are fired from this job. I tried to warn you over and over and over again about not acting that way, but I guess you just thought that it was okay for the rules to apply to everyone but you. Well, now you're finally going to be facing the consequences of your actions, and you'll have no one to blame for this but yourself.
Mr. Perry, are you really going to fire me like this? Because if you're serious, then I suppose I'll have no alternative but to leave. But just know that this is really disappointing, and I really was hoping for better from this company. But you do realize that you're doing this all because I'm gently informing your daughter of how to act in the office. I really don't think that you're thinking about this rationally. You do realize that this could have serious repercussions, not just for you, but for the whole company in the future because of the way that you are choosing to handle this, right?
Is that what you call all the horrible yelling and chastising of my daughter? I thought I already warned you about not doing that. In fact, I know for a fact that we already talked about this, and I told you to knock it off already. All I have to do is scroll up, and like you said, I can see the text evidence of me telling you to stop doing the exact same thing that you decided to just go and keep on doing. We talked about this and you didn't listen to me, and now you're trying to say that this isn't fair? Give me a break! But if you're not going to listen to a direct order from your real boss, then it's obvious that I have no choice but to let you go. And it's not like you can say that I didn't give you a second chance or time to change your behavior. It's so obvious to me now that you were never ever planning to change your ways, and that you were always going to continue to show nothing but disrespect towards my daughter and contempt for me as your boss. So if you're ever wondering how it all came to this, just reflect on your own actions for a change. I just hope some trash like you learns how to listen to your superiors one day, because that's the only way that you're ever gonna make it in the real world. You need to realize that the world doesn't revolve around you, and that there are times when you just need to shut up and do what you're told.
I guess we'll just have to see who the real piece of trash is, won't we? Because if you think that you can talk to anyone, employee or not, like this, well, I think you might just be in for a very rude awakening.
Excuse me? What did you just say to me? You think that just because I'm firing you means that you can talk to me however you want? Here we go again with this insolent attitude of yours. Well, if I had any doubts in my mind about firing you already, which, for the record, I didn't have a single one of, this would have sealed the deal for me right now!
I'm just saying that your daughter shows up to work late every single day. She never does any actual work when she's here, and I've only ever seen her on her phone. All I'm saying is that she acts in no other way that I've seen other employees of any company that I've ever worked at behave. And I don't think that she was getting the talking to that she needed to be aware of how poorly she was acting. Are you really going to try and tell me that that isn't an employee in need of a talking to by someone? I mean, really, I just can't understand how you're reacting this way towards me when I really don't think that I've done anything wrong at all.
I'm telling you that you've got no right to be lecturing my daughter over every little tiny mistake she might happen to make while working here. I don't know how many times you're gonna make me repeat myself on this point, but if there was ever any problem that my daughter was causing here, then I would have gone and talked to her about it. For the last and final time, you are not her boss, and it was never your job to try and tell her what to do. It's not your place, and you need to learn some respect. You don't get to talk to people however you want just because you've worked here longer than them. Honestly, if you think that's all that seniority is at a company, then you have no respect for the real corporate structure that has kept this company going for generations.
I suppose we'll just have to agree to disagree on what the actual situation is. But if you want my opinion, you're being far too easy on Lily. I will tell you right now that if I went around my office and you asked how many people were happy with Lily's output, or if you asked about how well she was meeting her deadlines, well, I think the answers might really surprise you. Although now it seems to me like it might also be your fault who your daughter is seemingly incapable of changing her ways. So if I were you, I would be worried that this somehow gets traced back to you.
So now you're gonna try and blame all the problems you have with my daughter on me? I really don't think I've ever had to deal with such an uppity employee before. In all of my days, I just really don't think that I've ever had to deal with someone so disrespectful and presumptuous. If you think that you're ever gonna have an easy time getting along in any other company when you've got such a big chip on your shoulder, well, I think that you're the one that's gonna be in for a big surprise.
You know, your daughter actually told me the last time we talked that she was sick and tired of dealing with me and that she would have me fired. And now, here you are, firing me. So I have to ask, is this because your daughter came to you and asked you to do this? And I would think very long and very hard about how you want to answer that question. Because I think that if it ever came out that we're decided to fire me right now because of something that she told you, well then, I suppose it would really just come down to her word against mine, wouldn't it? Except that I can tell you right now that it won't just be my word. I've already told you all about how the whole office more or less feels the exact same about your daughter and having to put up with her laziness all of the time. In fact, if Lily did go to you and tell you that she wanted me fired, did she ever bother explaining to you why it is that she was being talked to by me in the first place? I mean, really, do you think that you actually got an impartial telling of events and what actually happened between the two of us? Because if not, I would just want to be very sure about what actually happened before acting on information from Lily.
Oh, this problem is much, much bigger than just you and my daughter now. If you really think that you can talk to your boss the way that you've been talking to me, then it's clear that there's just no place for you here. I don't ever want you to even step foot into this office building again. Do you understand me? You are fired effective immediately. I don't ever want to see your face again. You are never, ever, ever going to work for this company ever again as long as you live. In fact, if I had my way, I'd make sure that someone like you is never, ever, ever hired anywhere in this town again. I would make sure that you get put on a blacklist and that nobody would ever want to even have your name attached to their business ever again.
Well, okay then, if that's your final decision, then I won't spend any more time arguing my case. I can clearly see that any efforts towards that are just being wasted on someone as stubborn and pig-headed as you. I have spent the past several days trying to defend myself and calmly explain to you why it is that I had to have some talks with your daughter about her performance in this office, and you just refused to listen to a word of what I had to say. But all of this does make me think of one thing that I want to ask you, though. May I ask what you're going to tell HR and our managers about my firing? Because I think it might be difficult for you to merely be doing this because of how I treated your daughter. So, I'm just curious how you're going to present your case against me to the higher-ups in our office. After all, I am sure they are going to want to know why exactly you were firing an employee like me with a squeaky clean record just after one unverified complaint from another employee.
And just why in the world do you think I would type out everything I'm gonna say to them here for you to read? I'll find a good excuse to tell them that will make them all go along with my decision. I'm in charge of this department, and what I say goes. The only person at fault here is you for daring to try and argue with me after I warned you to stop going after my daughter.
I'm sorry, but I really think that I've been very calm and collected this whole time. The only one throwing around insults and using aggressive language here is you.
Oh, why am I even bothering to talk to someone that I've already fired? Can't you just shut your mouth, pack up your desk, and leave already? I already told you that I never ever wanted to see you again. Do you know how many times I've had to repeat my orders with you? In all of my time, I don't think that anyone has ever gotten under my skin as much as you have. You have no respect for your superiors, and you clearly don't care about anyone but yourself. I don't think that I've ever met someone as selfish and absolutely shameless as you.
Okay then, I understand. If this is how things are going to be, then I'll leave the office today.
Finally! At last you realized that even when fired, you still have to listen to me. I'm the boss in this part of the office, and my word is law. You wouldn't stop scolding my daughter, and now you're gonna pay for ignoring a direct order from me. Now get out of here and never ever come back.
I understand. I also understand that you're incapable of seeing things objectively and that you're not suited for the position that you have. So you should know that you are going to regret doing this. I will make sure of that. You think that you can treat people however you want, but you're not going to get away with this.
You're telling me that you're gonna try and make me regret firing you? And just what do you think you can even do against me now that you're fired, huh? Besides, I'm in charge here, so what I say goes. It's literally impossible for me to make a bad call because I'm the one who's in charge.
Yes, you are the one in charge, and that's what's going to come back to bite you. Anyways, I'll be taking my leave now.
Hello, Mr. Brown. I saw the message left on my desk that you wanted to talk to me about something. What can I do for you today? I was just wondering where in the world my granddaughter has gone to. Do you have any idea where she might have gone? I usually see her every day, but I just wasn't able to spot her today. Is she out or something? Where could she be? I'm sorry, I don't think I'm quite following what you mean by that, sir. Is everything okay? I don't really think I'd know at all whatever your granddaughter is doing or where she is. Sorry, I can't really be of any help on this. Well, it really is quite simple. I'm talking about my granddaughter. I want to know where she's gone. I know that she's supposed to be around here, but I don't see her, and I want to know where she is. Did something happen to her? I've been asking around, and everyone has been telling me that...
All right, get to work. Get to work. I'll be watching you with hawk eyes this whole time, okay? I'm not in the mood to tell you that again, as your one job as the younger wife in this house is to get all the chores done, even while everyone else is here.
Get to work? But there's nothing left for me to do now. I've cleaned up all the dishes, and there isn't anything else to vacuum now. I've gone through all the house and wiped down all the tables, and have gone up to every window and sprayed them and cleaned them in order to let the most light through them. I went and swept the stairs for you, as well as cleaned the kitchen floor and took out all the trash.
Have you gotten around to doing the laundry and all of that?
I finished with the laundry a little while ago. You can even see that everything is all folded up and put into our rooms to be placed away later. And I made sure to change the sheets on the sofa as well. So at this point, there is really nothing left for me to clean or do for you. I can't even think of another thing I could work on that would make any sense at this point.
Are you sure that's how you want to end things? All of the family will be coming here really soon, and you have to make a name for yourself by making this place look spectacularly clean. If there is one thing that they spot and comment on, I am going to make sure you take responsibility for it. Will you be able to do that? It'll be a lot of pressure, and a lot of these people are much more strict than even I am.
Then can you go around and do a quick look over for me to see if there's anything I missed? That way, we can both be on the same page about the cleanliness here, and I won't have to be too worried anymore.
Huh? Does that mean you're not going to be able to take responsibility for yourself? That's what that sounds like to me. Do you not have the confidence where you need me to come around and check everything for you? That is not my job to be doing. You should be more than capable of cleaning and doing chores in this house without having someone like me come around and spot check all of your work.
All right. But this is how things always go with you, Dana. I ask you to check things for me first so that we can avoid conflicts later. But instead, you don't bother to help by doing that, so at some point you can complain about me. It's not that I'm saying you want me to mess up on purpose, but it sure does seem that way at times.
Then if you don't want me to complain about you anymore, do a better job at cleaning what I've asked you to clean. If you can do that for me, then you might actually end up being a good wife for my son.
Are you serious?
I'll have you know that I've been to over 100 different kinds of high-end hotels and have always made comments about the cleanliness of them. So if you can get me to not say a single word about your cleaning, then that means you're doing better than over 100 different hotels are. That should make you happy, right?
What? Over 100 different hotels? Complaining that much about all of their cleanliness just makes you look more like a stuck-up snob than anything else.
You're a real pain in my butt. I think I'm going to have to raise you again since your parents seem to have failed at that. Unlike women nowadays, back when I was first becoming my husband's wife, my mother-in-law pushed me so hard to make sure that I'd be perfect at everything. And now having to see this new generation of wives has left me shocked. I can't believe that all of you just want to sit around all day doing everything so sloppily around the home.
We aren't trying to sit around all day doing nothing, though. At least, I'm not trying to.
I know you all are. I've seen it with my own eyes, time and time again, especially you, Gia. So I'm going to break you down and rebuild you from the ground up, all right? So be ready. It will not be easy, and I'm going to be honest and say that you will cry even more now with me working on you than when you were a baby.
But listen, what's with you putting up that camera in the living room to watch over me all the time? That right there shows me that you're taking this way too far. You're trying to make it really hard for me to have any time to take a break and relax.
You have no right to be allowed a break time in this house. When you are here, you have to work every second of the day making sure this place is spotless and smells like nothing besides detergent. You will not stop working. I'll make sure of it, you useless woman.
Useless woman.
Gia, are you doing all right? I just realized that it looks like you've been working all day to clean. How about you take a moment to sit down and relax a little?
Angie. Thank you so much for asking about how I'm doing. But unfortunately for me, I'm not able to take any time off for a break. I was told that I'm a useless woman. And so if I stop doing the chores here, I'll be done for.
What are you talking about right now?
Well, there's a lot that's gone into it, so. But just be aware that for the time being, I can't take any breaks, as it would not end well for me. I'm happy to see that you've noticed me working a lot, but I'm afraid it's going to have to stay this way today.
Does this mean that Dana said something to you that's made you act like that? I know that woman well, and this all seems like something she'd do.
It was something she told me. She told me this is to help retrain me and that this was for my own good so that I can remain a part of this family.
I see. That woman sure is a thing for making sure everyone is the perfect wife for their husband. She's way too old, though, for her to not be embarrassed by the way she acts. Well, listen, Gia, you don't have to worry about a word that woman says to you, and you can take as many breaks as you'd like.
What? Are you sure about that? But
you've already put in so much work getting all this cleaning done, so it'd be wrong of us to continue to make you work into the afternoon. I'd like you to take a seat with all of us and talk about yourself a little. After all, everyone's come here today to relax and chat.
All right. Thank you so much for checking up on me. It really helps me out a bunch.
By the way, have you brought any of what's been going on here up with Isaiah? Told him about how Dana's trying to work you way too hard? I'm sure he'd have something to say to his own mother, knowing what things she's done to you already.
Not yet. There hasn't been anything yet between her and I that would make me go to him about it yet. Also, Gail is in the middle of a couple projects for work, so he doesn't have time to focus on this. And I don't want to get him all worried about what's going on here with his mom when he needs to be there.
You say that, but I feel as though he seems really worried about you and what you've been up to under the influence of your mother-in-law. I'm sure he realizes that something's up with you, so I really believe that you should bring this all up with him for once.
Of course. You are correct about what my Dana has been doing to me today, and that she has gone a little overboard with it. I will plan on bringing things up with him, or at least doing something that will really get his attention then.
Oh, is that right? I guess I didn't think you'd be willing to try and get his attention after saying you didn't want to disturb him. Well, that makes me feel a little better. I think that you'll be able to do all right then.
I think so too. So please, don't worry too much about me, and trust that I'll be able to handle all of this in one way or another. Go ahead and get back to chatting with everyone else now.
Thank you. I think I will then, but I'll make sure to watch and see how things go for you. You! Where the hell have you gone? Hurry up right now and get back here to get more work done. Plates are beginning to pile up in the sink.
I'm sorry, but I'm at the hospital right now.
Huh? The hospital? You're not some kind of nurse, right? You're a housewife that needs to stay in the home. Why did you think it was important of you to go to the hospital at a time like this?
Even if I'm not a nurse or anything like that, when I'm not doing well, I have the right to go to a hospital, correct? So, let me explain what's happened. I happened to pass out a little after you hit me in the head with that bottle of vodka, and have to go to the hospital to get myself checked out. Are you happy to have your explanation now?
Huh? Why would there ever be a reason for you to be passing out after that? I barely even hit you. And I was only doing it so you could disinfect yourself with the alcohol, you dirty parasite.
Are you kidding? Take a look at the gosh dang sofa that I was sitting on, please. There's vodka all over it still, right? That's because you hit me so hard in the head with the bottle that it actually shattered.
And that's evidence of why it's not okay for you to be sitting on any sofa at all, right? You are a housewife and have work left to do, so there is no way I was going to allow you to slack off.
What is so bad about me taking a second to sit on the sofa? And it's not even like I was sitting down in the same room as all the rest of the people, right?
A wife like you has no right to even a millisecond of sitting time. I already told you all of this before, right? Another thing, why were you showing all of the guests today to that other room in the house? It's because of you showing them to the room all the way on the other side of the house that they've made my job harder by being so far away from the kitchen.
I just assumed since that other room had a much more relaxed vibe to it, it'd be easier on everyone and they wouldn't have to continue sitting on that old couch in the living room.
Well, you made work on yourself only grow even more by doing something like that, right? I've had enough of this, so get your butt back to the house. I need you back here working right now.
Why are you being so strict with your son's wife like this?
I'm doing all of this for your sake is why. Back when I was your age, I had the same thing happen between myself and my mother-in-law, who worked me very hard.
Are you talking about Angie?
That's right. I was given the most strict upbringing by her that any wife has ever had on this planet. And that's why I'm going to make you work as hard as I was forced to.
So this is what all that hard work was about? It's because of your own past that you decided to hit me outside the head with a bottle of vodka and make me pass out?
Oh, shut up. This all has to do with you being a frickin' brat and talking to me like you have any say. You are worse than any other wife, a housewife I've known. Why did my sweet little boy have to end up marrying such a useless woman like you? Now you get your butt back to this house. I'm going to make you work as all wives are supposed to.
I told you, it's not going to happen now. I'm in the hospital at the moment to get my head taken care of. Also, why would I ever want to go back to some place where the person who assaulted me is at?
You think that I assaulted you just then? Oh, stop being so overdramatic. I had to make sure to reset your brain after you thought that it was a good idea to take a break while you were cleaning and catering to my family and friends. What the hell do you think you're doing going to a hospital after getting hit in the head with a simple tray? Well, now it's your turn, right? Huh? Hello, Dana. I had a good look at the moment you took that bottle and threw it at Gia's head a little bit ago. Oh, did you? But that's just the way I chose to handle things. I'm not going to listen to anything more from her about being such a victim to my way of treating her. So just understand that, please. All right, then. Well, I wasn't going to say anything about it anyway. Now, the next time we're all coming over will be in 2 weeks, right? I'll see you all again then. Wait, what are you doing? Why do you think you have to punch me now? You want to know why? Because you decided to sit down with the rest of us when you are the wife of this house. I'm the wife. But from my point of view, you are a younger wife than me in this house, therefore you don't get to have any time to take any breaks. You have to work all the time to clean the place up and serve everyone, right? And so far, you've only shown that you're a useless woman. So tell me why you thought it was a good idea to sit on the sofa like that? Oh, wait, that's because... Are you trying to tell me that punching you would be taking things too far? Oh, that's pretty bold of you to say that when just a couple of weeks ago you sent your daughter-in-law to the hospital after hitting her in the head with a bottle of vodka. Well, I didn't do that in front of everyone. I made sure to do that in a place where none of you guys could see it happen. And that's because you knew that if you did something as ridiculous as that in front of everyone else, they'd have some awful things to say about you, right? Well, that's right, right? After all, you did hit her in the head with a darn glass bottle. And you know that no matter what the reason you may have had for that, the rest of us would not forgive you for it. Right? You have no right to be saying things like this about me. And here we go again with that horrible attitude of yours. You really have me thinking once again about your actions. It's like you're back to that same old toxic woman from back in the day. Oh, shut up. You were the one who treated me like crap when you started to train me to be a good wife. You wanted to make sure that a young wife like me back then would be perfect. That's why you treated me so poorly at the house. I'm not going to let you say you forgot about all of that. So, you're trying to say that the reason you're treating Gia so poorly is because that's the way you were treated by your mother-in-law back in the day. That's exactly right. That's a fact. Well, I don't ever remember treating you in any way that was unfair or unjustified back then. I only happened to tell you that you were making mistakes and that you were wrong from a mother's perspective. Nope, you absolutely did not do that. You tried to abuse me back then in order to do everything you'd ask of me. It's probably because of all that stress you had that you'd pick fights with me and bully me. Well, you would go out and spend the family credit card on things that were only meant for yourself and without anyone's permission. And you'd use your husband's company's money to take yourself to all kinds of high-end hotels for weekends, right? You were one of the worst wives ever back then. That has nothing to do with what's going on right now. I think it has every bit of a connection to what's been going on here. You happened to go against everything the family asked you to stop doing back then. What you were doing was laced with problems, and it had to stop. That's the reason for everything that's happened after, right? Have you still not come around to accepting that yet? Oh, you're so annoying. I was still young back then, so stop trying to put all the blame on me for what happened back then. And Gia is the same age now, just about, that you were back when all that was going on, right? I can't do this anymore. I told you to shut up because you're being so annoying right now. An old witch like you needs to shut the hell up already. Jesus Christ. You've fallen right back to where you started. You don't think that you can get away with things now just because you've become friends with that old witch. I promise you I'll destroy that old witch if that's what you really want to see. And then I'll have you trapped with nowhere left to run.
Destroy her?
I meant exactly what I said there. Do you know that she hit me in the head with a tray as well now? And she did that in front of all the family and friends that were gathered here. So I will take her to court and sue her butt.
What? But Dana, you did the exact same thing to me a little while back, right? Do you think it's okay that you're the only one allowed to do things like that?
I was doing it as a way to get you to stop messing around. But that old witch only did it as a way of picking on me in front of everyone.
Your way of getting me to stop? I'm sorry, but that's not the way I saw it when you hit me so hard you lacerated my head. So, if you really are going to be suing Angie over this, then I'm going to sue you for hitting me in the head.
Excuse me, what the hell are you talking about?
Hold on, you have been talking about this the whole time, right?
Well, listen, miss, do you even have evidence of me hitting you in the head with any bottle of vodka?
Are you kidding me?
I never hit you in the head with anything, not even a bottle of anything. Angie may be saying that she saw something like that happen, but in her old age, I'm sure her eyes are not 20/20, right?
I can't believe this. It's like you're not even human anymore. That's how screwed up your head is. Not only are you just an awful mother-in-law, but at this point, I think you're better off being locked up in some asylum for the way you're behaving.
Oh, are you trying to make fun of me now? I'll take you to court as well over something like that.
I'm sure you may have forgotten this, but the room you hit me in the head with that bottle of vodka in happens to be the same room you installed that camera in to watch me. So, that night when I came back to the house, I went and saved all the recording on that camera to my phone. And so, the evidence of you hitting me really hard over the head with that dinner tray, and all the blood that came out of me and me passing out after, is saved on my phone.
So that's why you had all those people at the time moved over to the other room to relax for a bit?
That's right. I was thinking it'd be the best place to do it since you probably wanted to keep all your actions a secret from everyone else. However, I never thought you'd end up assaulting me in any way when I chose to take a small break on the sofa.
Then what about the place that Angie ended up hitting me in the head at?
You had that happen to you back in that other room, where there is no camera installed at. Dana, you keep talking about how someone like Angie hit you in the head the same way as you hit me. But are you sure something like that really took place?
This! You'd better stop messing around. Oh, well, it's all going to be okay. There may be no video evidence, but there were a ton of other bystanders in the room at the time that witnessed what happened to me. I'll ask them all to come and help me, and then I'll have the two of you ruined for the rest of your lives.
And I hope that all goes well for you.
Hey, you. What the hell have you said to Gail about this? Also, when it comes to my husband, did you say something to him as well?
What do you think I said to them?
I'm not here to play games with your stupid butt anymore. I was told by my son just a little bit ago that he wants to cut ties to me forever.
Well, that just happens to be because someone like him does not like the fact that you treated his wife horribly, and even hit her in the head with a bottle of vodka, sending her to the hospital, right? You can relax now because I didn't do or say anything to him that would make him want this.
Oh, stop it with all your bullcrap. Then tell me about my husband then. My husband is asking to get a divorce from me now after what you've done.
And I'd like to think it's for the same reason as Isaiah had. I believe that your husband was on his last leg with you, and what you did to me was the last straw and made him want to jump ship. Dana, I understand that you were going to look for people to back you up over this, but it seems everyone just wants to cut ties with you. Well, that's only natural of all of them. You've been a total jackass this whole time.
What? No matter what you say, this is all your fault. I was just trying to fix you because you are a terrible wife and woman, yet now everyone is trying to leave me. Oh, why me? The only terrible wife in this family is you, Dana. What do you want from me, you old witch? Look at that. The moment people start to do and say things you don't like, you begin to call them bad names, like old witch. You are the one that did many things wrong and are being punished for them, but are too self-centered to even take a moment to reflect on that. I can't believe it, though. You haven't changed one bit from the monster you were in the past. I am speechless. You are always trying to act like you're better than everyone else. Do you think you're the perfect woman? Sure, I'm not perfect, but I sure am better than you. I happen to not be the one with fingers pointed at her for picking on and assaulting her daughter-in-law. Shut up! You've heard about how my son will be divorcing you now, right? In other words, that means you and I will never have to talk to one another ever again. Thank you for what little you offered. Goodbye forever now. What is this? You came all the way out contacting me just to say something as BS as that? If anything, you're the one with a far worse heart than me. Right. After all, I was so bad that you had to start calling me an old witch again. Well, I hate being called something like that, and that's why I am really pissed off with you now. And that's the reason why I will not make things easy for you, and I will make sure that when all is said and done, you will no longer be able to touch my family ever again, and will go rot in hell with the rest of this evil world. Ugh! I've had enough with all of you messing around with me. So with that, goodbye forever.
Dana, can you please stop walking all over outside my house like that? We have all cut ties to you already, so you need to give up and go away.
Why, Gia? Why did you never tell me you were the one paying for the whole family the whole time? And why do you get to have that house now? That house is the place I had been living in for the past 30 years. I'm asking you to please forgive me. Please, just let me back into your lives.
As for me paying for a lot of the things this family had been living on, that is true. But you would have never listened to me anyway about it and just assumed that I was lying the whole entire time. So I went ahead and told your husband about it, my father-in-law, and said that if he didn't do something about you, I'd stop paying for him as well. As for the house, that was not the choice I ended up making, Dana. You were the one that lost your husband after he divorced you, and so there's nothing I can do to help get things back to the way they were. Just go back to your parents' house or something to live the rest of your life.
I don't want to, though. I want to be back living in that house with you. I will apologize for everything I did to you, so please forgive me. I am asking you to please help me.
It's not going to happen now. And there's nothing I can do to help you after all the trouble you started. Now, if you are going to continue standing outside our house all day causing us trouble, I'm going to have to call the police and have them take you away.
No. Please don't call the police on me now. I won't do anything to you guys, all right? Okay? I'll go away soon.
Wait. Dana, have you done something bad that might get the police to take interest in you?
No, I haven't done anything wrong. I just don't want to have to deal with the police right now. They scare me. That's why.
Well, I understand there being people that get nervous when they see the police as just a natural thing, but... Dana, if you've done something wrong that they might be after you for, you should just turn yourself in and confess to it.
I told you I haven't done anything wrong, though. So you don't have to worry about me. So with that being said, let me ask you this. Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me?
Asking me to forgive you? Well, based on what the rest of the family is saying about you, I'd rather not have anything to do with you anymore. So please just understand that and go.
But what if I do seriously change my ways this time and make sure to treat you very well?
The problem is, no matter how many times you try and change yourself to get us to take you back, you'll just start being a complete witch again. After all, you complained to over 100 different high-end hotels about their service and cleanliness. So I'm sure you'll never stop complaining, right? Lol. After the situation with my mother-in-law, Dana, spiraled out of control, I knew I had to take drastic steps to ensure my peace of mind. I had no other choice but to block her phone number, and once I did that, I didn't hear a single thing from her. The silence was a relief, but it didn't last long. Dana, in her usual fashion, continued to show up at our house unannounced, trying to keep tabs on us and what we were doing. It became clear that she wasn't respecting our boundaries, and I had had enough. I couldn't tolerate her intrusions any longer, so in a moment of frustration and finality, I called the police on her. I remember feeling a mix of anger and relief when they showed up. The police took her seriously and warned her about trespassing. And from that day forward, I never had to see her lurking around our house again. It felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But still, a lingering unease remained. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something deeper going on with her. Something that went beyond just being irritating and overbearing. Maybe she was involved in something shady. Or perhaps her actions were driven by something more serious. My worries lingered as I sat in front of the television one evening, mindlessly flipping through channels. Then, a news story caught my attention. The reporter was talking about a recent arrest that had made headlines in our town. And as the story unfolded, my heart sank. It was Dana. She had been arrested by the police. The reason for her arrest was the last thing I expected. Apparently, Dana had been involved in purse snatching, going around town and swiping items from people's purses. The police had discovered that she was selling the stolen goods to pawn shops in exchange for quick cash. I couldn't believe it. Dana, who I had once tried to care for and include in my life, had resorted to such low and dishonest behavior. I had always known she had her flaws, but this was a new low. But that wasn't all. As if her criminal activities weren't enough, it turned out Dana was also driving around with an expired driver's license. This only added fuel to the fire. And her actions made everything worse. How could someone who had been in my life act so recklessly and carelessly? It was hard to comprehend how things had spiraled so far out of control for her. At that moment, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of satisfaction mixed with disbelief. I couldn't deny that a part of me found it almost poetic that she was caught and arrested. After all, she had caused me so much grief and stress over the years, and now the universe had found a way to deal with her. I wasn't the one who had to confront her anymore. She was facing the consequences of her own actions. Once Dana was taken to court, the repercussions were swift. She was ordered to pay a hefty settlement to the victims of her purse-snatching spree. They had to be compensated for the emotional and financial damage her actions had caused. Additionally, Dana was slapped with a fine for driving with an expired license. Her life seemed to be falling apart before her eyes. And I couldn't help but think it was well-deserved. Dana had always been someone who felt entitled, who expected others to take care of her. Now, she was facing the harsh reality of having lost everything. Her freedom, her reputation, and her money. It seemed like her downward spiral had no end in sight. She had nowhere to go, no one left to turn to, so she made the decision to leave town. She returned to her hometown, hoping to find refuge with her older sister. I had hoped, maybe naively, that this might be the turning point for Dana. Maybe, just maybe, she would use this time away from us to reflect on her actions and start over. Perhaps her sister and her family would be the support system she needed to get her life back on track. But, as it turned out, my hopes were misplaced. Just a month after moving in with her sister, things had taken a turn for the worse. Dana, unable to resist her old habits, began to steal from her sister. She started pawning her sister's belongings, taking advantage of her kindness and hospitality. When her sister caught on, she was furious. She confronted Dana, but it only escalated the situation. Her sister's husband, understandably upset, intervened and forced Dana out of the house. Dana, ever the manipulator, tried to plead with them, begging to come back in. She even stood outside their house in nothing but a bathrobe, desperate and humiliated. But her sister and her husband were no fools. They knew better than to let Dana back in after everything she had done. They knew that she would just continue to take advantage of them, just as she had done with everyone else. This time, they did the right thing. They called the police again. When Dana was taken into custody, it was clear that she was in denial about the consequences of her actions. This time, however, the law didn't go easy on her. The court wasn't as lenient as before, and Dana was sentenced to 6 months in jail for theft. The sentence hit her hard. I'm sure it was a shock to her system, but it was also long overdue. Dana had spent so much of her life skating by on other people's generosity, never facing any real consequences for her actions. Now, the reality of her situation was sinking in, and it caused her to break down completely. I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions as I watched everything unfold from a distance. Part of me felt pity for her, but another part of me couldn't ignore the fact that she had brought this upon herself. I wondered if this second stint in jail would finally be the wake-up call Dana needed. Would it be enough to make her change her ways, to help her understand the damage she had caused? Or would she continue down this destructive path until it was too late? As much as I had hoped for Dana to turn her life around, I couldn't let her affect my family anymore. Since the day Dana was kicked out of our house, my life had become so much more peaceful. I felt like I could finally breathe again. My husband and my father-in-law had been a great support system, and together we had created a safe, stable environment. I had taken on the role of housewife, and for the first time in a long time, I was enjoying the calmness of my everyday life. One person who had really helped me through the worst of the situation was Angie. She had always been there for me, standing by my side when things with Dana became unbearable. I will always be grateful for her strength and loyalty. After everything that had happened, I wanted to thank her in some way. So I continued to invite her over to visit, along with the rest of the family and friends. However, this time, things were different. I didn't feel the need to work myself into exhaustion. Instead, I made it a point to sit back and relax, enjoying the company of those around me. It was a relief not to be constantly on edge, wondering when Dana would show up again or what new trouble she would cause. Now, I could simply enjoy life for what it was, a simple, peaceful existence that I had worked hard to create. And while I didn't expect Dana to change overnight, I couldn't help but hope that she would eventually find the strength to turn her life around. I knew, however, that it would take more than just time to heal. She would have to confront the reality of her actions. The damage she had caused and the relationships she had ruined. Only then would she truly be able to move forward. For now, all I could do was focus on my own family and the life we were building together, one step at a time. In the months that followed Dana's second arrest and her time in jail, things began to settle down further. There were moments when I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened, trying to make sense of it all. How did it all spiral so quickly? How did the woman I once tried to build a relationship with end up in such a mess? I couldn't help but ask myself those questions over and over again. But in the end, I realized that Dana had made her own choices. Every step she took toward her downfall had been hers and hers alone. At first, it felt like a betrayal. To see someone I had tried to care for, to support, turn against me and others. She'd manipulated me, made me feel guilty for things that weren't my fault, and caused so much emotional and financial distress. It was exhausting. But over time, I came to understand that it wasn't really about me. It wasn't about her wanting to hurt me. It was more about her own deep-rooted issues and the choices she made in trying to escape from her problems, no matter the cost. I had been a target, but I wasn't the cause. It was her inability to face her own demons that led her to lash out in harmful ways. Despite all the pain she caused, I couldn't completely turn off the part of me that still hoped for her redemption. I wondered if, with enough time and enough consequences, Dana could find her way back. I wasn't blind to the fact that people could change. But it had to be done on their own terms. Nobody could force her to face the truth, least of all me. It was something she had to come to realize on her own. In the meantime, I focused on my family, the people who had never abandoned me and had been supportive through the entire ordeal. My husband and father-in-law, despite all the stress that Dana had put us through, remained constant and calm. We had built a solid foundation together, and as a family, we were stronger than we had ever been. There were no more secrets, no more fears of what Dana might do next, and that sense of stability was a relief. It also gave me a chance to reflect on my own life. becoming a housewife had given me a sense of peace that I never thought I would have again. I had always been someone who sought stability, someone who wanted to feel secure and at home. Dana had disrupted that for so long that it almost felt foreign to me to have it back. There were days when I found myself waking up and feeling a sense of calm wash over me, realizing I wasn't constantly worried about her or the chaos she would bring. Angie remained one of the most important people in my life. The way she had supported me when Dana's presence was unbearable showed me just how strong our bond was. I often thought about how lucky I was to have a friend like her, someone who would drop everything to help me when I needed it most. It wasn't just about Dana, though. Angie had always been there for me, long before any of this happened, and our friendship had only deepened over the years. I realized how important it was to surround myself with people who genuinely cared about me, who would help me navigate the challenges that life threw my way.